Okay, Monday, March 21st. I think this is day number 25. I don't know, somewhere more than 3 weeks into the war. I didn't make a video yesterday. It was Sunday. So I'm taking Sundays off from being digital, and actually even evenings too, keeping the phones and everything in a separate room. Just keep the brain waves normal. These devices, I think, are much more harmful than Corona and all the other vices out there that they talk about. It's right up there with cigarettes and alcohol and probably heavy drug usage. I imagine they'll find that out in 10,000 years when archaeologists find our ruins and stuff, and look through our DNA or something. They'll see some mutation. So we're in the middle of an air raid siren now, so I'm just staying indoors. Parking garage isn't that comfortable after 20, 30 minutes. There's no facilities down there. It's cold. And like I said, I'm not, to be quite frank, being in Lviv, I'm not that worried right now. It's more if I was on a military base or something, or that I would be worried. But we're nowhere near any critical infrastructure or anything. It's kind of the advantage of being outside of town and in a lower cost area. If there's any humor to be had. On Saturday, so I'll tell you what's happened the last few days and some opinions. So on Saturday, I was, walking to the city center. It's about 45 minutes from here. It's a pretty solid walk, like 5-6 kilometers to walk from here directly into the center of Lviv at a normal pace, not a jogging pace or anything. And halfway there, I saw on a hilltop some black smoke. But before that smoke started, it was really strong, and then it petered out. But we don't think it was a bomb or a missile or anything like that, because there was no noise before that, or there was no explosion. So we have a feeling it was just people burning something. But to get black smoke, you got to burn a tire, burn tar, burn coal or something. And wood wouldn't do that. Wood gives you kind of a gray colored smoke. So we're not sure what that was. Maybe somebody was practicing with their Molotov cocktails, because Molotov cocktails has a tar component to give it a stickiness in it. So that could have been it, or somebody decided to burn a tire. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but during that watching that, I ran into some Swiss TV reporters, and I kind of stuck it to them. I told them there's no such thing as neutral. There is no third way. Either things are right or wrong, black and white, up or down, So it's and he agreed. He was, we talked about how Switzerland is finally taking a side and going after Russian assets and taking a stance. Although we see Nestle still stubborn about leaving Russia. There's all kinds of memes on the internet about Nestle Corporation, one of the biggest corporations, and they're stubborn to leave. But hopefully the awareness and the boycotts kick in the Western countries, and they find out losing more business in the West is not worth keeping their Russian business. So that's really up to us to boycott Nestle. So his name was Laurent, I think, and he was looking for Ukrainians coming back now. And I just told him, go to the border. There's people coming back. And he wanted to do an interview with people coming back. I wasn't so interesting to him. But I don't, like I said, I wouldn't want to give an interview to a TV reporter, because they would just take things out of context. They would talk to me for 5 minutes, only show 15 seconds if I'm lucky. Probably 5 seconds at most of what I'm saying, just get a one-liner out of me or something out of 15 minutes of talking. So yeah, you got to be a little careful with talking to journalists, especially in these days. This war, any war, but this war especially, it's a bigger story than COVID. It's like a real bonanza. And when I was in downtown Lviv this weekend, in the city center, Old Town, there's all kinds of reporters of all kinds of levels. I think I saw some guy who looked familiar from NBC News. I don't know their names, but I saw them outside one of the nicer hotels. There were a lot of small freelance reporters. There was some reporters from Spain looking for Spanish speakers to interview who are still around Lviv. It's just they're everywhere. I mean, they're filling up the hotels and filling up all the rental apartments, and it is part of the reason why the rents are so high now. Okay, so yeah, that was this weekend. Oh yeah, we found a place to get steaks. It's a restaurant called Mad Restaurant next to Bishevsky in the Old Town. So we had a proper filet mignon yesterday and proper baked potatoes and salad and everything else. It's usually something I like to eat once every 10 days. I'm vegan 85% of the time, so out of 21 meals a week, 18 of them are vegetarian or vegan, and then 3 meals are with meat every week. So that gives you about 85%, and I find that formula to work pretty well. You can't go completely, Paleolithic diet or something where it's all meat, and going completely vegan is not also, it doesn't work for me. So I found like 85% of the time is okay. And then the other times I go full carnivore. So I think that's how it worked in nature. People were eating plants and berries, and every now and then on a hunt, they would get lucky and they would get some meat, and then they would go maybe 10, 20 days eating vegetarian, and then they would get lucky and get some meat. So I think that's what I'm finding is working for me. Maybe that's how it was in the ancient human times, that maybe that's how our bodies are set up. But try it. Lost a ton of weight. My endurance is way up. Okay, now, yeah, the Battle of Kyiv is raging on, and Ukraine is really having massive victories. I mean, the columns are being blown apart, and lots of aircraft have been downed. And so maybe it is kind of like a Ukrainian Tet offensive. They kind of let the Russians come forward. They dug in, and then they're running like counterattacks now. It's all over the news. The military analysts are really amazed. There's a lot of Russian generals that have been taken out. I imagine that must be those Foreign Legion snipers and Ukrainian snipers at it. I know many of the Foreign Legion guys who came, well, not many, but there was a significant amount of snipers that had come in, from Israel. I think had sent quite a few, and then this Canadian super sniper. And this is all in the open source news weeks ago. I'm not revealing anything new. Actually, I wait a couple days before I commentate on any news, and I make sure it's already in the mainstream sources, as not to reveal anything. So that must be having a profound effect. I mean, when you have Sergei Lavrov and the Russian defense minister or defense spokesman specifically calling out foreign soldiers not to come here and that they're going to be treated like spies and all this, it must be getting to them. They're definitely calling out the javelins and calling out the new light anti-tank weapon NLAW from Britain, specifically calling those weapons out. The Stingers they're taking down not only the helicopters, but also the Su-25 close air support, the Frogfoots. These are like the Russian version of the A-10 Warthog. It's a slow flying, flying tank that's just meant to support the troops close. But one or two of them were taken out with a Stinger. Some amazing videos of this. So I think right now the Ukrainians have stopped the forward progress and on the eastern front around Kyiv. Now the Kherson, Mariupol, there was a raid on a Russian helicopter base, and they got quite a few Russian helicopters on the ground. And I think there is some turnaround, or not, I wouldn't say turnaround, but there is some progress going on in the south as well to kind of freeze the Russians where they're at. But they are kind of, I wouldn't say kind of, they are out of control in the south. The south of Ukraine, like I said, still continues to worry me. Those are troops coming in from Crimea, so they're much closer to their home. They're much more nationalistic, and they're troops who actually believe all this stuff. They actually are drinking the Kool-Aid, as one would say, versus conscripts in the north. And then we have some worrisome news that there's some movements up north of Lviv. So there's the Lviv region, and north of us is something called the Volyn region. And north of there, there's some troop movements in Belarus. So a lot of people are speculating that the Belarusians might be trying to make an aim for Western Ukraine. I don't know, it's more of probably a diversionary move to tie up some Ukrainian forces there. That is concerning if Belarus enters the war, but then they're going to be sanctioned. They're already sanctioned, but they'll get the super sanctions. And I'm not sure if Lukashenko wants it. I think Belarusians are a little bit more worldly than Russians on average. It's a smaller country geographically and more into Europe. The Baltics are to the north. Poland, they have a border with Poland as well. So I don't know how the Belarusian factor will come into this, but also I'm not sure if the Russians would like to use those Belarusian soldiers to reinforce what they have in Kiev and divert them to Kiev, or to open up another front. So that they would be aiming to get within 60 kilometers of Lviv and then start shelling us, with the rocket artillery and with the cannons. I think that would be their strategy, or to get to Rivne or get to one of the other Lutsk. They would have to go through those cities first, but not necessarily. They could follow the road, but they would be very close on the Polish border. And that would be dangerous for them if some missile or something strays. That might just give the Polish army, Poland wants in. Poland is given the strongest language that they need to put troops on the ground here. And I saw in the news that Biden said it's up to NATO countries what they want to do, and whatever they do, they would support them from behind, send supplies and weapons and money, which is important. It's important. Nothing would be better than having the 101st and 82nd Airbornes here, and the big red one, battalion or regiment. I forgot what it was. It was a big army unit out of Kansas. I went to school at Kansas State, and Fort Riley was nearby, and there was something called the Big Red One. And I think that's an infantry division. It's a whole division, but yeah, we could get them out here. They would do some real heavy damage to the Russians, or get a couple Marine divisions out here, U.S. Marines, and I think that would help. But I think the Army is better suited to this war. This is a traditional Army war now, Army Air Force war versus like Marines and Special Forces. This would just require, classic Army tanks and, anti-aircraft and artillery type war, infantry war. Anyway, enough of that sidetrack. So, yeah, also in Kherson, what's going on is they have the Chechnyan there, this Kadyrov. He's kind of like the TikTok general, TikTok star, making videos and showing the MRAP that he got. It's like a heavier version of the Hummer that he got from the Ukrainian army, and they're shooting up buildings. And I don't know if he's directly behind the kidnapping of civilians, but they're taking passports away from a lot of people in Mariupol and Kherson. I believe Kherson, but mostly Mariupol, and deporting them to Russia and putting them in small towns. It's basically kidnapping. It's another war crime. It's another war crime, and we need Western leaders to just at the very least, step up the language that the Russian leadership are war criminals. And after this war, even if they fully withdraw, they're going to still be regarded as such in the minds of people. Maybe not legally due to some agreement, but they would be revered as such throughout the rest of history. So, yeah. What I found interesting, too, in the last few days is that Sergei Lavrov, this Russian deputy minister or whatever he is, Putin's right-hand man, he gave Fox News a shout-out for giving balanced news, or, at least fair coverage of the situation, and giving the Russian side. Now, I don't care for Fox News that much, but this is just my opinion on this. We do need to hear both sides. Everyone has a right to an opinion, and Fox News is really, has been against America directly getting involved in this war, and they fear World War III. But sometimes they take this libertarian thing and they're a little bit naive as well, that, oh yeah, America can be isolated and America can be removed from the world. It really can't. If you do that, the bad people will, and then you keep trading with the bad people. Maybe you can remove yourself on the world if you don't trade with the bad actors to empower their economies. If you do it so you can, keep them poor and unable to build any weapons or build up any army, and snatch their talent, then maybe you can do that. If you had an open immigration policy, take all their engineers, all their people with any leadership capability, and then don't trade with them, don't buy their oil, maybe you could isolate your country. But if you're going to trade with Russia, trade with China, then you better damn well have a sword drawn as well, ready to fight. Because it's just like Lenin said, the Westerners will buy the rope, or sell us the rope that we'll hang them with. I think Vladimir Lenin said that. One of the founders of communism said, the capitalists will sell the rope that we'll hang them with. But we can't have cancel culture. We can't have censorship. As long as I've watched Fox News's counterpoints. They are actually well stated. They actually are making a point, and I think some of those points they do have are valid. Some of their concerns are valid. I don't agree with them, but as long as they're being well stated and not gibberish, kind of like the libertarians, like Ron Paul. But we can't censor Ron Paul either. As much as I would like to, we can't. But I think Fox is okay. I think they're okay. You get some nice analysis from them, from those generals that they have on there and military analysts. But this Tucker Carlson, that's who the Russians love. He does make some valid points. I don't agree with him, but sometimes he has some points out there. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Is I hope we don't get into a cancel culture, and we can still tolerate opinions that we don't agree with. As long as they're not misstating facts or making up complete lies or basing it on complete lies. As long as everything is based on some facts and some history, it would be nice to have. Lastly, I'm working on a project to raise money for the Ukrainian army. If you go to Instagram and search tractors_and_tanks, I'll put it down in the comments. We want to do an NFT project. I work in IT, and I'm familiar with cryptocurrencies and what have you. So we wanted to sell NFTs to raise money for the Ukrainian army, and we're looking for official endorsements on this, as well as people who are good in social media. So if you are, go visit tractorsandtanks.com, or visit the Instagram page, or visit the and drop me a line, and we'll see how we can work together. Anyway, that's all I got for today, for Monday. Have a productive day. Take care.